Champ now.
Yes, I didn't say. What are you looking so sad about, Champ?
I'm surprised. I mean, I'm really insulted. I mean, that's not right what you just said.
What do you mean? What I just said?
I mean, I'm getting a drink of water. I'm late getting home, but you talk. I said something about the greatest heavyweight champ, man. I'm a hometown man, and you talk about Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis wouldn't be nothing for me. Joe, I tell you, Joe, do you think you would have stood a chance with me?
Well, one time during my career, I was on a Bomber of the Month tour.
I would have been a bum compared to you.
What's happening, my people? It's Cass Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. That's right. You know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Boxtorian, bringing you all that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it. Can't get enough of it. Salute to Miss Cass. Without her, none of this would be possible. Salute to Mike Mazik, Mike Rim, the drunk Irishman. Salute to everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cass Sports, the Boxtorian. Today, best rounds in boxing history. Excuse me. Got a little cold, but we're going to work our way through it today. The best rounds in boxing history today. We got the 50th best rounds in boxing history. We're going to go from 50 to 1. We're going to pick up the Frank Warren and Queensbury Monday and Al Heyman and PBC Friday to finish up the promoters. Okay, but how's everybody? It's Friday at the end of another big week of boxing history. Got the big card tomorrow, Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios. Again, 3 title fights on the card. So yeah, looking forward to that one. Another big card for 2026. Okay, but now we got to get our fight of the day in before we get to these 50 biggest rounds in boxing history. Okay, but how's everybody? It's the weekend. Let's get started with our fight of the day then. All right, here we go. Okay, today's fight of the day is Sugar Ray Leonard versus Donnie Lalonde, November 7th, 1988. Sugar Ray reigns in his 5th division. It is for Sugar Ray's. It was 2 divisions on the line in this one fight, middleweight and super middleweight. And super middleweight made Sugar Ray's 5th division. Let's get into it. Leonard versus Lalonde, November 7th, 1988. Sugar Ray reigns in his 5th division. The Donnie Lalonde versus Sugar Ray Leonard matchup was held at the Caesars Palace Outdoor Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. It was contested for Lalonde's WBC Light Heavyweight Championship and the inaugural WBC Super Middleweight title. In the 12-round fight, the 32-year-old Leonard, coming in at 33 wins, 1 loss, weighing 165 pounds, returning from an 18-month retirement and moving up 2 weight classes from his middleweight victory over Marvin Hagler, faced the 29-year-old champion Lalonde, 31-2, weighing 167 pounds. Yeah, this was super middleweight and light heavyweight titles, okay? Now Leonard, who entered as a 3-1 favorite, despite the size disadvantage, started slowly and was outboxed in the early rounds, including a 4th-round knockdown where he was stunned by Lalonde's powerful right hand. However, Leonard mounted a comeback with his superior speed and combination punching, overwhelming Lalonde to secure a technical knockout victory at 2:30 of the 9th round. .230 of the 9th round is when he ended. The win elevated Leonard's professional record to 34-1 and made him the 2nd boxer in history to capture world titles in 5 weight divisions: welterweight, junior middleweight, middleweight, super middleweight, and light heavyweight. Thomas Hearns had been the first one to do it before Ray. This high-profile pay-per-view event, which drew an attendance of 13,246 fans, featured significant purses, over $15 million for Leonard and approximately $5 million for Lalonde, and marked Leonard's first professional fight without longtime trainer Angelo Dundee due to a monetary dispute. Yeah, that was significant because it was 1988, $15 million and $5 million purses was huge back in those days. Okay, and this was Sugar Ray's first fight as a pro with Angelo Dundee. They had some kind of monetary disputes going on coming into that one. The fight began tentatively, with Donnie Lalonde establishing control through his effective use of the jab to maintain distance and pressure Leonard from the outset. In rounds 1 through 3, Leonard appeared somewhat rusty after the long layoff, 18 months, circling the ring cautiously while offering light counters and focusing on defense to absorb Lalonde's advances. The crowd at Caesar's Palace, initially subdued by the measured pace, began to build engagement as Lalonde's aggression forced Leonard to work harder without landing significant offense. Referee Richard Steele issued a warning to Leonard for a low blow early in the second round, but the action remained disciplined otherwise. Lalonde's jab-heavy approach dominated the exchanges, landing the harder punches and preventing Leonard from finding rhythm, though Leonard's footwork and clinches helped him avoid heavier damage. The momentum shifted dramatically in the fourth round when Lalonde landed a solid right cross to the side of Leonard's head midway through, sending him to the canvas for the first time since his 1984 fight against Kevin Howard, the second knockdown of Leonard's professional career. Leonard rose quickly at the count of 4, clinched to steady himself, and survived a brief flurry of wild rights from Lalonde, sustaining a minor cut on his nose in the ensuing brawl that closed the round. Lalonde decisively won the round on most scorecards, including a 10-8 tally from HBO unofficial scorer Harold Lederman, due to the knockdown. After 4 rounds, the early action was close and competitive, with HBO's unofficial scorer Harold Lederman having it in Lalonde's favor. Leonard's defensive resilience allowed him to weather the pressure, setting the stage for potential adjustments as the fight progressed. As the fight progressed in the rounds 5 through 7, Leonard markedly increased his punch output, employing superior upper body movement and a sharp jab to close the distance. In round 5, he landed whistling left hooks and powerful rights that put Lalonde in evident trouble by the bell, signaling a shift in momentum following the earlier knockdown in round 4 by Lalonde. Round 6 and 7 evolved into intense slugfest, where both fighters exchanged heavy blows, but Leonard's greater accuracy and Lalonde's emerging fatigue tipped the rounds in Leonard's favor, or rendered them closely contested. By round 8, Leonard's hand speed overwhelmed Lalonde, allowing him to land left hooks at will while setting up mounting pressure against the ropes. Lalonde responded with heavy right hands, but his efforts were increasingly labored as Leonard dictated the pace and targeted the body to further sap his opponent's energy. The climax arrived in round 9, where Lalonde mounted a brief aggressive resurgence midway through, landing a 2-fisted volley of power shots that momentarily stunned Leonard. But Leonard quickly recovered, countering with a jab, followed by a vicious right and a devastating left hook that floored Lalonde for the first time. Rising unsteadily at the count of 9, Lalonde was immediately met with another left hook that sent them down for the second knockdown, prompting referee Richard Steele to stop the fight at 2 minutes 30 seconds by technical knockout. Round 9. With the win, Leonard claimed the WBC light heavyweight title from Lalonde while simultaneously winning the vacant WBC super middleweight title, marking a historic dual division conquest in a single fight. And there you have it, the fight of the day. Sugar Ray Leonard over Donnie Lalonde by 9th round TKO, 2 minutes 30 seconds of the 9th round. Okay, today, 50 of the best rounds in boxing history. That first round of Hagler Hearns, probably the best round in boxing history. How's everybody? It's Friday. At the end of another big week of boxing history. Big fight tomorrow, though. Big fight. We got 3 title fights on the card, too. Yeah. Ryan Barrios, Gary Antoine Russell, and Andy Hiriaka, Richardson Hitchens, and Oscar Duarte with 3 title fights. And then Frank Martin also on the card tomorrow. Yep, Frank returning to action. That could be the toughest, best fight of the night, Frank and Nahir Albright. Mm-hmm. But yeah, 50 of the best rounds in boxing history now. Let's go. You got a bad cold. Okay. All right. Yes, well, I couldn't get on yesterday. Wasn't in good shape at all, but a lot better today. Let's get into it. Starting at 50-1. All right, number 50. Dennis Andres versus Jeff Hardy, 3. September 11th, 1991, round 11. These granite, tough light heavyweights slugged it out for 31 rounds over 3 fights. And this may have been the best of them all. Around the left, BBC commentator Harry Carpenter gasping. Have you ever seen anything like it? Hardy won the rubber match on points and said afterwards, the nearest thing to this was Marvin Hagler Thomas Hearns. Ted Cheeseman versus Sam Eggington. August 1st, 2020, round number 12. Both were shaken in the dramatic final minute. Moments after stiffening Cheeseman's legs with a clean volley of shots, Eggington found himself being driven back into a corner. Eggington enjoyed the to and fro action as much as the fans did, smiling as Cheeseman, who would prevail on points, fired punches at him. Mike Tyson versus Frank Bruno, February 25th, 1989, round 1. Crush the legend in the building. What's up, Crush? We're looking at some of the best rounds in boxing history today, Crush. Salute. Good show this morning, too, Crush. Crush, 6 o'clock, weekdays. Great show this morning, Crush, as usual. But salute. Best rounds in boxing history. And we are only on we got 50 of them. This is the third one. This one was Mike Tyson versus Frank Bruno. And this was February 25th, 1989. Again, round 1. Round 1. Now, the bookmakers fancied an early finish, and they almost got it. Down inside the opening 20 seconds of the round, Bruno had a nation on his feet when he connected with a left hook later in the same round that sent shivers down Tyson's legs. But Bruno couldn't find another punch like it and was mostly on the receiving end until the 5th round finished by Tyson. But Bruno had him on their feet for a minute there, but he couldn't find another punch to follow it up. And Mike finished him off in the 5th. Jack Johnson versus Stanley Ketchum, October 16th, 1910, round 12. Now, the rumor was heavyweight champion Johnson and middleweight champion Ketchum had agreed this fight would go on the full 20 rounds. October 16th, 1910, right? And the rumor was they had made an agreement that they were going to let the fight last the entire 20 rounds. But it didn't turn out like that. Ketchum dropped Johnson in the 12th round and was made to pay for it, being laid out for a full 10 minutes by a right-hand pile driver from Johnson later in the same round, out for 10 minutes. Wow. Alfredo Angulo versus Richard Gutierrez, May 17th, 2008. Round 5. Okay, yeah, round 5. And that's some of the great rounds in boxing history. All right. Badly shaken by a left hook early in the round, Angulo hung on until his head cleared. Started landing left rights that had Gutierrez unsteady, and then went for broke. Just when it seemed Gutierrez had survived the storm, Angulo started connecting cleanly again, and the referee jumped in and stopped it. James DeGale versus Badou Jack, January 14th, 2017, round number 12. This back and forth fight between elite super middleweights looked to be up for grabs going into the final round. DeGale was dropped, hung on and shook Jack with the last punch of the fight, and it was called a draw. Wow. If DeGale would have had another 10, 15 seconds, he might have got Badou Jack out of there. Rocked him with the last final punch of the fight, and then the bell rang. They called it a draw. Joe Louis versus Tony Galento, June 28th, 1939, round 3, two-ton Tony. Tony was the one that he wouldn't take a shower for 2-3 weeks before the fight, so his opponents wouldn't clinch it. Hey, that's a good strategy, Tony. Yeah, because it probably wasn't too much clinching going on. Man weighed about 300 pounds and hadn't had a shower in 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, that was a very good strategy to stop his opponents from clinching him. But this was round 3 against Joe Louis. The round when the short, fat, and so everyone thought beforehand, hopelessly outclassed Galento had the heavyweight champion of the world on the floor. Yeah, had Joe Louis on the floor. Galento had shaken up Louis in the opening round with left hooks before being dropped himself in the second round. The first knockdown of his career. The following round, it was Joe Louis on the floor, put there by a perfectly timed short left hook. Now Louis got up quick, and Galento chased him around the ring, throwing left hook after left hook at Louis. None of them landed cleanly. And by the bell, Galento's face was a bloody and bruised mess. And in the next round, Joe Louis finished him off. But Tony, two-ton Tony, did have Joe on the mat. And Joe Louis ran for the rest of the round, too. He didn't want to get caught by that left hook again. Juan Manuel Marquez versus Daniel Ponce de Leon, 2, March 15th, 2014. Round number 2. Technique. What's up, Technique? Looking at some of the best rounds in boxing history today, Technique. 50-1. Where are we at now? 40-something. They keep blinking out on. Okay. Yeah. 43. The salute technique. Yeah. Got a ways to go. Okay, number 43 is Juan Manuel Lopez, not Marquez, Juan Manuel Lopez versus Daniel Ponce de Leon. Ponce de Leon wanted revenge for a one-round defeat 6 years earlier and went for the knockout after dropping Lopez in the second round. Ponce de Leon ended up on his back after Lopez beat him to the punch with a southpaw right hook. He was down again before the finish. Stay with me for a moment, please. My picture's in backwards. Yeah. Yes, I did. Okay. Iran Barkley versus Roberto Duran. February 24th, 1989, round 7. The fight appeared to be slipping away from Duran, so he put it on Barkley in the 7th, and the blade slugged with him, as both were rocked. Duran dropped Barkley in the 11th round on the way to a point win, split decision win for Roberto. Vladimir Klitschko versus Corey Sanders. April 24th, 2004. Round 8 of this one was the big round. Sanders had wiped out Vladimir Klitschko, and the South African banger had his moments against his elder brother, doing 7 back and forth rounds. Sanders had Klitschko under pressure in the 8th round until Klitschko cracked him on the chin with a right. This time, Sanders had no response. Klitschko unloaded around 20 punches until the referee jumped in. Unloaded 20 of them on it. Okay. All right. Next is Thomas Hearns versus Iran Barkley 1. Round 3. After 2 rounds, Barkley was cut on his left eyebrow, and his mouth was dripping blood also. The punishment went on in the 3rd round, and as Hearns stopped to decide which punch to hit Barkley with, next, the blade lashed out desperately with a right hand. Hearns moved right into the path for the punch, and it smacked him flush on the jaw with terrific force, freezing his body and leaving him defenseless for a split second. Barkley took advantage of it by driving Hearns to the floor with another right hand. Somehow Hearns got up, but the end was only seconds away after that. Eric Boone versus Arthur Danaher. February 23rd, 1939. Round 9, 1939. Boone sensed the end was near, got careless, and shipped the right hand that dropped him for a count at 4. Danaher added an extra punch while Boone was on the floor, adding further fire to his fighting. Boone picked himself up and went straight on the attack. Danaher stood his ground, and they traded fiercely until the bell. Then Boone forced the 14th round stopping. That was a hellacious round 8. Terry Norris versus Joy Waters, June 19th, 1993, round 2. What's up, RNA Boxing in the building? Yeah, I was looking for you last night, Arnie. You must have I took the day off too. But salute, Arnie. We're looking at some of the best rounds in boxing history today. Arnie Boxing, weekdays 9 p.m. Fighter Show. Okay, let's get back at it. We're looking at some of the best rounds in boxing history. Number 38 is Terry Norris versus Joy Waters, June 19th, 1993, round 2. 50 of the best rounds in boxing history. Now, Norris looked well in control before Waters opened up to drop him with a flurry. After that, Norris took the fight to Waters, pushing him back to the ropes and blazing away with both hands, and was then stunned himself after the Aussie responded, and Waters retired after the next round. Waters gave it up. He was doing well after that big second round. Joe Calzaghe versus Byron Mitchell, June 28th, 2003, round 2. Round 2. I don't know what's going on with this equipment today. Bear with me for a second. There we go. Joe calls Zach. Round number 2. Equipment acting up, got a bad cold, man. But I couldn't be up 2 days, like the bank. I can't be closed 2 days straight, so I had to get on here today. So we're gonna work our way through it. Okay, Joe calls Zachy versus Byron Mitchell. Round 2. Now, because Zachy had never been on the floor until Mitchell cracked him with a short right hook to the chin after a series of body shots. Kozaki got up and chose to slug his way out of trouble. He set Mitchell down with a left and had him on his feet, had him out on his feet with his follow-up attack to force the stoppage. Yeah, Joe got up and put Mitchell down, then Mitchell got up and Joe had him out on his feet. And the referee jumped in and stopped it after that. That was all in round number 2. One of the great rounds in history. I happened to see that one too. Arnie probably saw that one. That was a great round, wasn't it, Arnie? A back and forth action. It was when Kozaki put that last flurry on him and Mitchell was out. And that ended it. Okay. Thomas Hearns versus Juan Domingo Rodon, October 29th, 1987. This was round 4. Round number 4. Best rounds in boxing history. Hearns survived an almighty wobble to become a 4-weight champion. Rodon had the hitman in trouble with a left hook, but his follow-up swings mostly missed, and the hitman didn't. Hearns smashed him out of the fight later in the same round with a right-hand blast. Round 4. Yep, Rodon missed, but the hitman didn't, and smashed him up out of there. Prince Nassim Hamed versus Kevin Kelly. December 19th, 1997. This was round 4. Yeah, I was too sick to make all my pictures. I just made one for every 10. Every 10. Holmes and Tim Witherspoon was a representative for this 10. Prince Nassim Hamed versus Kevin Kelly. December 19th, 1997. Round 4. Round 4. Okay, Arnie said, the way Joe turned that around, that was his Ivor Ride moment. The Jeff Lacy performance simply confirmed it, yeah. That was the first time Joe had been down in his career, too, in that fight, yeah. But he got up off the canvas and came back and won it, though, so yeah. Got to give credit where credit is due. This is Prince Nassim Hamed versus Kevin Kelly, round 4. By the time the bell rang to start the 4th, Hamed had been down twice, Kelly once. Kelly was soon down again and nicked himself up to make Hamed touch down. Picked himself up, excuse me. Kelly picked himself up, right? He swung big shots at Hamed on the resumption when the fight resumed and ran right into a punch that ended a crazy fight. Yep, Kelly got up firing back but ran right into a punch that ended it. Ray Mancini versus Arturo Frias, May 8th, 1982. The first round. Round 1. Described as like stretcher machines going haywire as they traded huge shots at breakneck speed. Both were shaken before Mancini dropped Frias and forced a stoppage. 6 seconds from the end of the first round. Fight got stopped 6 seconds before the round ended. But it was a crazy round, non-stop action. That's how most of Boom Boom Mancini's fights were, though. Arturo Gatti versus Yvonne Robinson, 1. First of two fights between these two. August 22nd, 1988. This was the 6th round. Yeah, I saw this one too. Round 6. The drama came in the final minute. First, Gatti was in desperate trouble as Robinson repeatedly fouled his chin with clean shots. But that didn't even bother Gatti. With around 20 seconds left in the round, Gatti crashed right off Robinson's jaw to have him stumbling around the ring. After that first round, that was the 6th round, the fight went the distance. And Robinson won on points. After that 6th round, everybody said, oh, this ain't going 10. But yeah, they both made it to the 10th round. Both had great chins too. They showed it in that 7th round. Acelino Freitas versus Jorge Barrios, August 9th, 2003, round 11. Round 11. At the start of the round, commentators said this super featherweight clash was a fight of twists and turns. And there were a couple more in these 3 minutes, round 11. Freitas found himself on the seat of his trunks from a left-right, and Barrios spent the next minute or so chasing him around the ring. Freitas started to see the punches coming, slipped him, and the last punch of the round was a right-hand cannonball from the Brazilian that left Barrios out on his feet. He crashed to the canvas, and Freitas finished him in the next round. Nigel Benn versus Iran Barkley, August 18th, 1990. Round 1, very first round. Now, Ben raced from his corner in the first round like a track star to smash Barkley with a right hand, and seconds later, Ben was on the floor. The next 90 seconds belonged to the American, Barkley. He had been retreating on rubbery legs with a left hook and kept him on the ropes with jolting shots. While dodging punches, Ben started to find Barkley's chin with sledgehammer right hands. Eventually, Barkley had to give ground, and Ben fired another right to the chin that dropped him, adding another shot while he was on his knees. Ben knew another knockdown would finish the fight. He went for broke and finished Barkley. Yep. Went for broke and got him out of there. Okay. Now that's Gatti and Robinson. Yeah, I was going backwards. Holmes and Weatherspoon is in this 10. Okay, 50 of the best rounds in boxing history. Let's continue. Appreciate everybody stopping by today and supporting. Okay. Anthony Joshua versus Vladimir Klitschko, April 29th, 2017, round number 5. Trainer Robert McCracken told Joshua to get in first with his right hand in the 5th round. He did, and Klitschko was hurt. As Joshua kept the punches coming, Klitschko desperately tried to grab hold of Joshua. But Joshua found room, kept punching, and Klitschko slid to his knees. He immediately picked himself back up, but still looked dazed, and Joshua had 2 minutes left to finish him. But Joshua couldn't find the veteran's chin cleanly again, and Klitschko got in a left hook that had Joshua on rubbery legs and on the brink of defeat. Yep, this was all in the 5th round. Back and forth. Carl Thompson versus Eds Vaselis, November 26, 2001, round 2. Both cruiserweight bangers were on the floor in the opening round, and the drama continued in the second. Thompson rocked Sellers, and the American southpaw opened up with a volley of punches to drop him. Thompson was still legged when the fight resumed. He was still stiff-legged when the fight resumed, and looked a clean punch away from defeat. But out of nowhere, Thompson connected with his own right hand, and then Sellers was down. Now Sellers was in desperate trouble and only just made it through the last 30 seconds to the bell. The next round, Sellers went on to score a knockout in the fourth. After all that in the third. After almost having Thompson out of there, almost being out of there himself, Sellers got the knockout in the very next round. Fidel Bassa versus Dave McAuley won April 25th, 1987, round number 9. Would you believe it? Asked the BBC's Herbie Carpenter after the 9th round. I've never seen anything like it in my life. It goes one way, then the other. There had been 3 knockdowns in the previous 8 rounds altogether. McAuley scoring 2. And McAuley looked in trouble in the 9th round until he rallied to drop Bassa twice. There would be no Irish fairy tale, however, as Bassa forced a 12th round stoppage. Archie Moore versus Iran Durrell won December 10th, 1958, round 5. Went way back, 1958. Archie Moore, Iran Durrell. Fighting a couple months before his 45th birthday, Archie Moore was down 3 times in the first round and was set crashing down again in the 5th round by a crunching right hand to the jaw from Durrell. Moore was on rubbery legs when the fight restarted and decided to slug his way through the crisis, having a Canadian staggering in the closing seconds with a thumping right hand. And Moore pulled the fight out with an 11th round knockout. But all that was in the 5th round. And Archie Moore was it was his 45th, a couple of months before his 45th birthday at that time. Wow. Larry Holmes versus Tim Witherspoon, May 20th, 1983, round number 9. And he said, everyone knows Gaddy for the Ward fights, and rightfully so. But Gaddy had unbelievable fights with Robinson and Ruelas as well. Yeah, he sure did. Yeah, everybody remember him for Mickey Ward, but yeah, Gaddy. Gaddy just had a way of making anybody brawl. I told y'all before, Arturo Gaddy could fight Devin Haney and had Devin Haney brawling. Gaddy just had a knack of making whoever he was in there with, making them brawl. He would have Devin brawling. Devin Haney. Mr. Jab outside himself. Gaddy would have him in the middle of the ring brawling. Because Arturo just had that knack, man. Didn't matter who he was fighting. Gaddy was going to have you brawling. Larry Holmes versus Tim Witherspoon, May 20th, 1983, round 9. Midway through the round, Holmes knew he had to fight back or he would lose the heavyweight championship. Witherspoon had dazed him with clobbering rights, hurt him to the body, and then sent him wobbling into a corner. Holmes put everything he had into a right hand, and it crashed onto Witherspoon's chin. The challenger was stopped in his tracks, and Holmes was back in the fight. The to and fro action went on until the bell, and Holmes ran out a tight points winner at the 15 rounds. A lot of people said Tim Witherspoon won that fight, including Cass Sports. Yes, one of them I thought Holmes was in a couple close. You can't say robbery, because it was that kind of fight, but yeah, I thought Witherspoon edged it out. But the judges didn't. The Holmes kept his title. Miguel Cotto versus Ricardo Torres, September 24th, 2005, round 1. We could have picked any of the 7 rounds in this fight, but we'll go for the first. Cotto dropped the Colombian and was then badly shaken himself. Cotto was dropped for the first time in his career in the 2nd round and said after coming through a 5 knockdown, 7 round war, I had to win. Cotto said after all that, I just had to win that fight. You know, especially after that first round. And McGraw pulled it out. Mm-hmm. Nigel Benn versus Anthony Logan, October 26, 1988, round number 2. Round number 2. The Jamaican had been down in the first and swaying and ready to fall in the next. Out of desperation, Ben swung a right hand that missed by a mile. Then he swung a left hook, and Logan went down for the count. He had been in serious trouble in the first and second rounds. But Ben started throwing haymakers, and one of them got one of them in and knocked Logan out for the 10 count. Now on the deck, 10 count knockout. Yeah, Ben came out of nowhere with that one because he was in serious trouble. And that was in the second round. Leroy Murphy versus Sandor Muddy, October 19th, 1985. This was round number 12. The cruiserweight title fight with the Rocky II ended. Champion Murphy and Muddy had the same idea at the same time. They both let go right hands, and they both hit the floor. Murphy happened to get up first at the count of 6, and Muddy stayed down. So Murphy got the stoppage. Round 12. That was crazy. They both connected and both went down. Murphy got up, Muddy didn't. Yep. John David Jackson versus Jorge Castro, December 10th, 1994, round 9. Now, the opening 2 minutes of the 9th round were much the same as the previous 8, as Jackson more or less did as he pleased with the Argentine. Commentators were wondering how much more Castro could take. And then, out of nowhere, he dropped Jackson with a left hook. And he had Jackson down twice more. And after the second time, they stopped it. That's boxing. You could be winning every round. You could be winning 10 rounds straight. One punch could turn the whole fight around. And that's what happened here. Through 7 rounds, it was one-way traffic from Jackson. Even the commentators was wondering how much longer Castro was going to go before Jackson finished him. Then out of nowhere, Castro got that punch in and knocked Jackson down 3 times in the 9th round and finished him. Yeah, that's boxing. No other sport like that. You know, if you're losing 28-0 in football, 1 touchdown ain't gonna turn it around. But in boxing, you could be losing 8 rounds of nothing, and 1 punch can turn the whole fight in your favor. That's the beauty of it. Jake LaMotta versus Laurent Dorthil, 2, September 13th, 1950. Round 15. Up on the scorecards after 14 rounds, Dorthil went on the attack at the start of the last and ran into trouble. LaMotta detonated a left hook on his chin that left the Frenchman on the brink. LaMotta kept the punches coming until Dorthil was laid out over the bottom rope, where he was counted out with only 13 seconds left in the fight. The man was ahead after 14 rounds. Jake needed a knockout and stopped it with 13 seconds left in the fight. Final round, 15th round. What a fight. James Kirkland versus Alfredo Angulo, November 5th, 2011. Round 1. First round, round 1. Dropped in the opening seconds. Kirkland was soon under fire again, and the referee told him to start throwing back or the fight would be over. Why did he tell him that? So he did start throwing back and landed enough punches to drop Angulo before the bell. And Kirkland went on to win in the 6th round. Yeah, Angulo should sue that referee. The referee woke Kirkland up. Caused Angulo to lose. Because he told him to start throwing punches and it was over. Why did he say that? Kirkland went on the attack after that. Israel Vasquez versus Rafael Marquez 2. This was August 4th, 2007, round 3. That's Holyfield and Bowe right there. They coming up. Okay, round 3 for this one. Marquez and Vasquez had a great trilogy. What was it for? Did they fought 3 or 4 times? I think it was a trilogy. Vasquez got his redemption for a 7-round defeat the hard way. The 3rd round was the most action-packed before Vasquez got the stoppage in the 6th round. Riddick Bowe versus Evander Holyfield won November 13th, 1992, round 10. Oh, come on. Round 10. The force of Bowe's right hand connecting with Holyfield's chin left him seeing stars. Bowe knew he was dazed and threw everything at Holyfield, but when he had emptied his tank, Holyfield was still standing, determined to get his own back. Bowe had his legs stiffened briefly before pulling himself together to slug with Holyfield, and they swapped power punches until the bell. Bowe dropped Holyfield in the 11th and went on points. Yeah, but that 10th round. Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz won June 1st, 2019. This was round 3. Joshua was first to strike, dropping Ruiz for the first time in his pro career. I was like, what the hell just happened? I had to get him back, said Ruiz after the fight. Around 15 seconds after the fight resumed, Ruiz had Joshua on the floor. Ruiz had around 90 seconds left in the round to finish Joshua, and there were 11 seconds remaining when he launched a furious two-fisted attack. AJ went down again, dragged himself back up, and the bell rang before Isa could throw another punch. But Ruiz did go on to win that one. Yep. He did go on to win that one. Oh my goodness. Okay, Sam Sack versus Maillard. March 18th, 2006, round 10. I'm gonna skip that one. Chan Hee Park versus Goody Espadas. December 16th, 1979, round 1. South Korea's Park was the boxer, Espadas the puncher, going into this flyweight fight. Park found himself on the floor from a left hook inside 40 seconds of the fight. And rather than box through the crisis, he got up and went toe-to-toe with the Mexican. And the tactic worked. Espadas was down twice in between moments of success before the bell. And Park finished him off in the 2nd round. The other action was in the 1st. Frankie Lyles versus Tim Littles, June 8th, 1996, round number 3. Down in each of the opening 2 rounds and badly cut, Littles raced from his corner at the start of the 3rd and smashed Southpaw Lyles out of the ring. He dragged himself back in the battle and was shaken up several times before walking Littles into a right hook that proved to be the finisher of the fight. Round 3. Tony Zale versus Rocky Graciano won. They had a great trilogy too. September 27th, 1946, round 1. We did that one, remember? Graciano banged in some hard shots early in the round to bring responses from the middleweight champion. Zale dropped him for a count of 5 with a left hook, and Rocky blazed back to have Zale groggy at the bell. And Zale went on to claim a 6-round knockout. Well, that was round 1. Michael Moorer versus Bert Cooper, May 15th, 1992, round 1. Cooper came out firing rights at the favorite and pounded him to his knees. Moorer soon found himself pinned on the ropes on the resumption, but beat Cooper to the punch with a southpaw right hook that dropped Cooper. There was still a minute to go when the referee waved them together again, and Cooper only just stayed on his feet until the bell, helped by his gum shield coming out, and Moorer won in the 5th. Okay, round 10, 50th greatest rounds in boxing history. Okay, Prize Fighter. What's up, Prize? We're looking at 50 of the greatest rounds in boxing history today, Prize. Final 10. Final 10. Let's see. Yeah, this was the representative for the final 10. I didn't have time to make my pick. I got a terrible cold. But that's okay. The final 10. Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier 3, the Thriller in Manila, October 1st, 1975. Got to know what round it is. Round number 14. Round 14. The question at the start of the 14th round was, who has more fight left in them? The half-blind Frazier or the exhausted Ali? For a minute or so, it looked like Frazier. He had Ali on the ropes, trying to muddle and hold his way through the round. Ali was able to drag a few punches out of his aching arms, and he knocked Frazier onto his heels. Frazier was still dangerous with his left hook, but the rest of the round belonged to Ali. There would be no 15th round. Eddie first decided Frazier couldn't take it anymore. He had that 14th round. That's crazy because Frazier had Ali first, and then Ali came back, and Ali threw everything he had at Frazier. I mean, he just pummeled him. Somebody said he landed like 30 unanswered punches, but Frazier wasn't going nowhere. And if Frazier hadn't threw that talent, I don't know how Ali would have got through 15, because after 14, Ali didn't have nothing left. But Frazier corner threw the talent. And Marvis Frazier said he was sitting behind Ali's corner, and he could tell by the body language that Ali wasn't coming back out there. Or he didn't want, or he could just tell by the body language. He was trying to sit to his father's corner, not to throw the towel in. He was facing his father's corner behind Ali's corner, but he couldn't get their attention, and they threw the towel in. Yeah, that was crazy. I see Marvis give an interview one time and told that story, yeah. Okay, round 9, Muhammad Ali versus George Foreman, October 30th, 1974, round 8, the final one. Now, legend has it, Ali told Foreman before the start of round 8, now it's my turn. Ali waited until the final 20 seconds of the round to take it. Until then, he was focused on dodging and blocking Foreman's bombs. But when the weight and speed started to leave Foreman's punches, Ali sensed the time was right to throw his counterattack. He spotted Foreman's jaw was exposed and found it with a chopping right hand. He soon added 2 more, and Foreman was on his way to the canvas for the full count. And Foreman said after like round 6, he said he hit Ali as hard as he ever hit anybody. He said Ali just looked at him and said, "That's all you got, George?" And Foreman said, "That's when I realized this ain't what I thought it was." Ali said, "That's all you got, George?" Foreman said, "That's as hard as he ever hit anybody." And Ali just looked at him. George said, "This ain't what I thought it was." That's when he realized he was getting ready to lose, around the 6th round. Ken Norton versus Larry Holmes, June 9th, 1978, round 15. Pride said, Ali said he wasn't going to come back out for the round until they stopped it. I heard that. I heard Ali say that on a late night show after the fight. Now, I don't know if the bell would have rang if he actually would have quit, but I did hear him say that a few years after the fight, Prize. But I think he would have probably came out, And Angelo, it was a story that people said Ali told Angelo to cut his gloves off. And Angelo Dundee said that never happened either. But I did hear Ali say one time he wasn't coming out for 15. But I think if that bell would have rang, him and Frazier would have been out there if Eddie Futch hadn't have stopped it. Because after the 10th round, I don't know how they kept coming out there. Because when the bell rang, they was moving back to their corners in slow motion like the last 5 rounds. But when that bell rang, they was both right back out there. So I think if 15 would have started, they would have both been back out there. Yeah. Yep. Ken Norton versus Larry Holmes, June 9th, 1978, round 15. Now, anybody haven't seen this round need to watch it. 1978, Ken Norton and Larry Holmes, round 15. That was one of the greatest rounds in boxing history. There comes a time in a fight when you have to ask. Give me 4 minutes, please. Down to the last 8. Okay. 1 moment, we'll be back. This was a good one, too, Holmes and Norton. Yeah, everybody needs to watch that round 15. It was back and forth, all the way up to the end. Okay. No. This is crazy. Okay, here we go. Only got 8 to go. Oh my goodness. Excuse me for a minute. This piece of jump off the window. These guys said kill me because you want it. Yeah, we're gonna get it together in a minute though. Okay. Give me 1 minute. How you doing? They're not doing that. I spent my money on it. I hope so, you know, here. Okay, here we go. We're back. Okay, Ken Norton and Larry Holmes, right? Is what we were getting ready to talk about. We're inside the top 10 rounds in boxing history. Next, we got some of the best fights by decade coming up too. After this, best fights from like 2010 on back. Here we go. Larry Holmes and Ken Norton. Get this out the way. Off of it. Okay. Yeah. June 9th, 1978. This was round 15 of this fight right here. Yeah, it was, Fries. Okay, yeah, round 15. Now, there comes a time in a fight when you have to ask yourself, should I go that extra mile? Wrote Holmes in his autobiography. Part of your body is telling you, I'm tired of taking these shots. But another part is saying, if you have the heart of a champion, now's the time to show it. Holmes and Norton went the extra mile in the last 3 minutes. Excuse me. With the fight level on the 3 judges' cards, they engaged in what Norton described as an extremely violent round. Holmes won a split decision. Because started out after like 13, they thought Holmes had it, and then Norton rallied in 14, and they thought he was up, but then 15 came out. Holmes came out strong. Norton took over, and Holmes finished it off coming down the stretch and took it. You had to watch it to get the full benefit of that round. Round 15, Holmes versus Norton, 1978. It's on YouTube. Larry Holmes, Ken Norton, 1978, round 15. The whole fight was great, but that 15th round was crazy. Okay. Marco Antonio Barrera versus Eric Morales, 1, round 5, February 19th, 2000. Morales came out for the 5th round of this clash of super bantamweight titleists, intending to stand off and jab. That is what he did. until Barrera cracked him on the chin. Morales wasn't going to let him get away with that and reeled off a burst of punches that had his rival badly dazed. Barrera switched back on to unload a volley of his own shots that had Morales backpedaling. Morales ended up winning a split decision. And yeah, they really didn't like each other during that trilogy. But now they're friends. I think they do some kind of podcast together or something. Morales and Barrera. But yeah, they did not like each other back in them days. None of those press conferences and stuff, none of that was staged. They didn't like each other. Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury, December 1st, 2018, round 12. This was the first one. When Fury woke up, did the Undertaker joint, remember? Eyes just popped open. And then when he got up, he won the rest of the round. Remember? That was crazy. Wilder thought the fight was over after he dropped Fury for the second time. Wilder said, "I saw this man's eyes roll in the back of his head. I'm like, it's over." As the count reached 6, Fury started to stir. And by 9, he was back on his feet. He had 2 minutes, 3 seconds to survive. And given Wilder's power, that looked very unlikely. Fury saw most of Wilder's swings coming, and once he sensed his tank was empty, Fury launched a counterattack. The crowd screamed in disbelief as Wilder survived. Yeah, he got up and came back. And I think he won that 12th round, actually. Yeah. Mickey Ward versus Arturo Gatti won March 18th, 2002, round 9. Ward dug in a left, this was incredible. Ward dug in a left hook to the body, liver punch, his trademark punch that made Gatti step back. And when the pain wouldn't go away, he took a knee. Ward launched the left hook at Gatti when the fight restarted. He got up from the liver shot, and he seemed certain to go down. He didn't go down. And then he started punching back. Ward was in trouble in the corner until he started slamming punches off Gatti's chin to have him groggy at the belt. But Gatti got up, not only did he get up from that liver punch in the 9th round, he won the 10th round. Gatti won the next round. Yep. That was incredible. Jack Dempsey versus Louis Firpo. Oh yeah, September 14th, 1923, round 1. Now listen to this. 3 minutes, 10 knockdowns. Dempsey scored 7 of them. It was really 9. Dempsey scored 7 of them and ended the round dazed. The KO started in the opening seconds. Dempsey ran across the ring and straight onto a right hand that made him touch down. Up before the referee could start the count, he waded into Firpo, repeatedly smashing his Argentine challenger to the floor. Firpo went down 7 times in round 1, right? Now, Firpo only just beat the count after being dropped for a 4th time, and following a 5th knockdown, the Wild Bull of the Pampas started to fight back. He swung rights at Dempsey until he touched down, but again, Dempsey straightened himself before the referee could count and carried on his onslaught. Firpo went down twice more before he launched another thrilling counterattack, unloading right hand after right hand to send Dempsey crashing out of the ring. And in the 2nd round, Dempsey dropped Firpo to end it. It was like 11 knockdowns, 10 knockdowns in 2 rounds. Firpo went down 7th in the 1st, Dempsey twice, and Firpo once in the 2nd. But this is what caused the neutral corner rule, this fight. Started to knock somebody down, go to the neutral corner. Because before that, you could stand right there while the referee counting right beside the referee. And every time Firpo got up, Dempsey was smashing him right back down to the mat. This is the fight that started the neutral corner rule. They stopped. You couldn't stand right there by the referee no more because soon somebody ready to get up, you just jump right back on them. So they started the neutral corner thing because of this fight right here, Jack Dempsey, Louis Firpo. 1923. Yeah, that started the neutral corner rule right there. George Foreman versus Ron Lyle, January 24th, 1976, round 4. Yeah, that was another dude. That was another doozy right there. 3 minutes of astonishing back and forth action. Heavyweight drama. First, Lyle opened up to drop Foreman. Foreman hauled himself up and decided to punch his way out of trouble. Both took clean thumps on the chin during a crazy exchange that ended when Lyle hit the floor. These was two big, huge heavyweight sluggers here, Ron Lyle and George Foreman. Okay. Foreman had around a minute to finish Lyle, and the end seemed only seconds away after Lyle was badly dazed again by a volley of left hooks from Foreman. But somehow Lyle stayed on his feet, and when he fired back, Foreman started to come apart. Lyle followed up to punch him to the floor again, put Foreman down again, just before the bell. And then Foreman got the knockdown in the next round. That was the round of the year for 1976 and the fight of the year. 5-round fight of the year. Yep. Number 2 is Jose Luis Castillo, Diego Corrales, May 7th, 2005, round 10. That was crazy. That might be the single most extraordinary comeback within a round to win a fight that has ever happened, claimed Hall of Fame broadcaster Al Bernstein after watching Corrales pull off his miracle. Both fighters were bruised and cut after 9 hard-fought rounds, and early in the 10th, Corrales dipped into a left hook from Castillo and landed on the seat of his pants. His gum shield, remember they kept taking his mouthpiece out? His gum shield came out, giving him some priceless extra seconds to clear his head. The break didn't appear to do Corrales any good. Seconds after the fight restarted, Castillo had him on his mat for a second time in the round. Again, Corrales' mouthpiece came out, deliberately spitting it out. For that, he was docked a point. But the extra seconds helped to revive him. Corrales landed a couple of shots that gave him the heart to ignore what Castillo was throwing at him and keep punching back. Both took clean punches, and it was Castillo who gave ground, wobbling into the ropes. Corrales smacked several more shots on the chin until the referee decided he couldn't take any more, and Corrales ended up winning the fight. After being down, spitting his mouthpiece out twice, getting a point deducted, he came back and won. And this is the greatest round of all time. Marvin Hagler versus Thomas Hearns, April 15th, 1985, round 1. Referee Richard Steele said, "When the bell rang to end the first round, I went back to my corner and said to myself, what the hell is happening? I could not believe those guys would come out and fight like that." More than 3 decades later, fans watch the opening 3 minutes of The War on YouTube and find themselves thinking the same thing. You know, how did they come out there and fight like that? And they came back out there for 3 rounds doing it. Now, the first round, Hagler started it, racing from his corner to toss a southpaw right hook at Hearns' chin. Now, Hearns wanted to box behind his jab, but had to fight to keep Hagler off him. Yeah, Hagler wouldn't let him. People say Hearns fought the wrong fight, but Hagler wouldn't let him box. Hagler made him brawl. Yeah. Hearns tried to box, but Hagler was like, no, buddy, ain't gonna be no boxing today. Right? Hearns had to fight back to keep Hagler off him. And the ferocity of the champion's attack went up a notch or 2 after a deep cut opened on his forehead. Hagler pinned Hearns in a corner and threw everything at him. Hearns threw everything back. The doctor examined Hagler's cut in the 3rd round, and sensing his title was slipping away, Hagler launched an all-or-nothing attack that ended the fight. Yep, got Hearns up out of there. There's 50 other best rounds of all time. Let's look at a couple of things, and then we're gonna go to the link. We're gonna save those best fight by decade for another time. I want to get some link time today. We will get them in 10 minutes. Also, the best fighter by decade. That'll be next week. Also, next week, brought to you by Al Booger, we got coming rap and pugilism. Boxers, rappers that went into boxing. There's some rappers were actually, trained and sparred and stuff. They didn't become pro boxers, but 50 Cent and Vanilla Ice, a few of them. And Jay-Z actually, manages or something. Rock Nation, remember. So we're going to get into that next Wednesday. Some boxers that, rappers in boxing. Monday and Tuesday, we're going to finish off the promoters, Frank Warren Monday, and Frank Warren and what's the name? It's Queensbury, right? Queensbury Promotions Monday, and Al Heyman and the PBC Tuesday. And then Wednesday is going to be rappers in boxing. And Thursday, we'll probably do the best fights by decade and the best fighters by decade. And now, let's talk about Willie Pep for a minute. We get us to the link, 3:30. Where you at, Willie? There's Willie Pep. The Will-O-the-Wisp. No, that ain't Willie Pep. There he is. Yeah. Because it's, we're going to talk about Willie and then we'll do the link. Get like 30 minutes of link time. I always said it'd be like 8 o'clock. Nah. Okay, yeah. I got some running around to do this afternoon though, so let's see. Willie Pep. We're going to talk about him briefly. Will-O-the-Wisp won a round once without throwing a punch, he said. And there was an article in the paper about it. And people say Willie Pep wrote that article himself. Some people at ringside said it, so they saw Willie land a couple of punches. But hey, if anybody could win a round without throwing a punch, it's Willie Pep. Okay. Greatest defensive boxer of all time, bar none. Third best ever on my top 10 of all time. Only one in front of Willie Pep is Sugar Ray Robinson and Muhammad Ali. Then Willie Pep. Bad man. Willie Pep was. I'm telling you now. That was a bad man then. The Will-O-the-Wisp, Willie Pep. 241 total fights. 229 wins. 65 knockouts, 11 defeats. And Willie won something like his first 60-something fights out the gate. And then he won like 70 before he lost his first fight. Then he won like 70-something more before he lost his second. He was something like 130-something and won at one point in his career. Some of that ain't bad. In today's boxing world, these numbers are hard to comprehend. But this is a career record of Willie Pep, the Will-O-the-Wisp. Pep is considered by many to be the greatest featherweight to ever step in the ring, as well as one of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters of all time. I got him number 3. Behind Sugar Ray Robinson and Muhammad Ali. He was a 2-time world champion, reigning from 1942 to 1948, and then again from 1949 to 1950. He was born Guglielmo Papaleo in 1922 in Hartford, Connecticut. He fought for 2.5 years in the amateurs, amassing a record of 62 wins against 3 losses. He turned pro in 1940 and kicked off his career with an amazing 62-fight winning streak. He won a decision over Chalky Wright in 1942 to capture the featherweight crown at the tender age of 20 in his 56 pro fight. But after those 62 fights out the gate, his first loss, he won like 70-something more. So he was like 130-something and won before he lost again. And back then you didn't win no titles after those 67 fights. One of the greatest of them all, Willie Pep, was in his 56th fight before he won his title. Okay. And guess what? He was only 20 years old in his 56th fight. Okay. Yeah. Excuse me. I have got a bad cold. He lost his 63rd pro fight to Sammy Angut, but it was a non-title fight, so Pep retained his belt. He briefly served in the military during World War II, and then went on another amazing win streak. Here we go, after the loss to Angut. So listen to this. He won his first 62 fights before he had a loss. He lost one, then he won his next 73 fights before another loss. So that's 135-1. Okay. And this is made even more remarkable as Pep was seriously injured when a plane he was flying on from Miami crashed in New Jersey in January 1947. Most people felt that Pep's career was over, but Willie had other plans. Yet a doctor told him he wouldn't fight again. Not only did Willie fight again, he fought 10 more times that very year. He said, the only thing I'm not going to do again is fly a plane at night. Okay? After 5 months in cast, they were removed in May, and Willie went immediately back into training. He still held the title and defended it with a knockout over Jock Leslie later on that year. Pep seemed invincible. He fought 10 more times that year, as a matter of fact. He seemed invincible. He had a draw in those second 73. There wasn't 135-1. His sporting a record 134 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw. Pep stepped into the ring with Sandy Sadler in October 1948. In a major upset, Sadler knocked Pep out in the 4th round for only the 2nd defeat of his career. Pep later admitted that he had taken Sadler lightly, and though he was in good shape, got pushed around. But he would come back to avenge the defeat 3 months later with a hard-fought 15-round decision over Sadler. Pep later said it was the greatest fight of his life, and that the second time around, he truly appreciated the championship. Yeah, him and Sadler didn't get along either. But guess what? They became best friends after their career, and they did exhibitions and stuff, traveled around doing exhibitions and stuff together. Yeah. Now, Pep had won the title again, now a 2-time world champion, and he was still only 26 years old. Pep and Sadler fought twice more, with Pep losing both fights. Sadler seemed to have his number, and Pep couldn't reclaim the crown. Plus, Sadler was a lot bigger than Pep, too. He was a lot bigger. Yeah. In the 4th fight, Pep's eye was so badly swollen and cut that he had to retire from the fight. And they said that 4th fight was the dirtiest fight in boxing history. They kept wrestling to the mat. One time they took the referee to the mat with them. Okay? Dirtiest fight in boxing history. Now, although game, Pep simply couldn't see out of the eye of the fight. This was the last fight when he couldn't continue. But he forced ahead and continued to fight well into the 1950s. At the age of 36, he landed a non-title fight with Hogan Bassett, who was the current featherweight champion at the time. If Pep won the fight, a title fight would be scheduled. Although he led on the cards, Pep was knocked out in the 9th round. He retired that year. So yeah, that first fight with the champion, it wasn't a title fight, but they had the agreement if he beat him that time, then the rematch would be a title fight. Ain't that some shit? But Pep got knocked out anyway. But they did that a lot back then, especially against certain fighters. Wouldn't put the title on the line. But he said if Pep beat him the first time, he would get a title shot. It seemed as though Pep's great career was over for the next 6 years as he stayed retired. Living in Florida in 1965, he was approached by a friend to train him to fight. Pep began to train with his friend, and when his friend fell ill before a match, the promoter asked Willie to step in for the 4-rounder. Pep accepted. You know he wasn't going to say no. Pep accepted and fought 11 times that year. They got him back in the ring, mainly for fun. But after running with an unsavory promoter in Richmond in 1966, he retired for good at the age of 44. Pep admitted after his retirement that he had basically spent his ring winnings as quickly as he earned them and had some bad luck with several mergers. In 1980, he won a major lawsuit against Sports Illustrated over an article that they had published suggesting that he had thrown one of his fights. Pep was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 1990 in the inaugural year in the old timers category. He was perhaps the ultimate boxer and claimed he once won a round of a fight without throwing a punch by just making the other guy look bad, miss and look bad. At the same time, he's in a rare group of fighters with over 50 knockouts to their credit. They don't make them like this anymore. The Will o' the Wisp, Willie Pep. Okay, I'm gonna put the link in. Anybody's welcome to hit the link. Okay, and we're gonna finish off the last 30 minutes, chopping it up. So I got a couple of other old timers I can talk about if and when somebody hits the link. Okay, either way, it's going to be a good final half hour. How's everybody? We got the big thing. I still ain't decided on Ryan and Barrios. I don't know about that. Both fighters is like you got to wait and see what kind of fight they doing when they show up, because you just got to wait and see for Ryan and Barrios. You don't even know if Ryan's training serious. Ryan could be out there drinking and smoking weed and stuff instead of training. Who knows? Or he might be in there seriously getting ready. We just gotta wait until Saturday night and see. It ain't gonna be the Barrios that was like, come on off the ropes, Manny. Come on back out to the middle. Not that Barrios. That was pathetic. Barrios against Manny. Like, go ahead and hit me, Manny. I'm not gonna count him. That was pathetic. How much they paid Barrios to do that? Okay. All right. Y'all remember that? They act like he didn't want to hurt Manny. That's the way I said it. Okay. Right? I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that saw it like that. I don't know. But there's the link. And we got 30 minutes to chop it up. Got to end at 4. But this was primarily was the 50th best rounds in boxing history today. Did anybody get a chance to watch that 1978 Larry Holmes Ken Norton round 15? That was crazy. Yeah. Okay, we got Willie Pep. We got Harry Greb too. Let's talk about Harry. The Pittsburgh Windmill. Harry Greb, where you at, Harry? Willie Pep, Harry Greb should be next. There's Harry. Yeah, the Pittsburgh Windmill, Harry Greb. Arguably the greatest middleweight of all time. He's up. I got him, Hagler, and Monzon. Take your picking with what. Now I got a lot of people got Sugar Ray number 1 at middleweight. I got Sugar Ray number 4 at middleweight. Sugar Ray is number 1 at welterweight. Sugar Ray was only beaten once in his prime at welterweight, but at middleweight, Sugar Ray took some L's in his prime. So yeah, Monzon, Hagler, Willie Pep is in front of Sugar Ray at middleweight for me. But welterweight, Sugar Ray Robinson is the man. And overall, pound for pound. But middleweight, yeah. I don't know. Now you can make an argument for him being number 1. But just welterweight for sure. Harry Greb, Pittsburgh Windmill. From Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, obviously. Right? The Windmill. The great Harry Greb, aka also known as the Pittsburgh Windmill. Let's talk about Harry. For some, he ranks as the greatest fighter of them all. For many more, Harry Greb ranks in the top 5 at least. Harry died in 1925 on an operating table. His heart, one of the most astonishing fighting hearts in boxing history, failing as a result of an attack brought on by the effects of the anesthesia. Greb, who had been blind in one eye for some time, had crashed his car and it was being surgically repaired. The former middleweight king, who also fought heavyweight, despite the fact that he never went much above 170, died at age 32. Yep, 32. Greb was a relentless, terrifying ring lion or tiger, capable of throwing non-stop punches for as long as it took to get the job done. Yeah, he had a hell of a gas tank. He could throw non-stop for 15 rounds. Greb was also a non-stop moving target. His speed and agility were as amazing as his stamina and punch output. Greb, too, liked to bend the rules, often slinging in low blows, headbutts, and elbows. While Greb was, like a number of prominent fighters of the time, proficient at using his thumb or thumbs to hinder a rival's eyesight. Yeah, he wasn't above bending the rules a little bit. You know, if you get away with it. It ain't wrong if you don't get caught, right? So, yeah. Harry wasn't above that. Records vary, but including newspaper decisions, Greb had around 300 pro fights, of which he lost just 18. He fought 45 in 1 year, 1919, I believe, 1917, something like that. 1 year, 45, he won all of them. And they wasn't all against top level killers and stuff, but they were 45 professional fighters in 1 year. And some of them was top level. So, and Greb had around 300. He fought at a rapid rate with the unofficial king of the roaring 20s in terms of boxing, above even Jack Dempsey, averaging over 20 fights a year. This is truly incredible, as well as one huge indication of just how much the sport has changed. And just look at some of the names Greb went to battle with. Gene Tunney. Greb was the only man to ever defeat Tunney as a pro. Kid Norfolk, Tiger Flowers, the Toy Bulldog, Mickey Walker, Tommy Loughran, Gunboat Smith, he beat Gunboat, Maxie Rosenblum, and so many others. We can spend the rest of the show naming some of the top level fighters that Harry Greb beat. So many others. And Greb loved to fight. He also loved drinking, and he loved fast cars and sharp suits and good-looking women. Greb really did live fast and die young, 32 years old. Greb's legend has done nothing but grew over the years, over the decades since his death. Yet, some smartasses dare to frown on the legend. You know the kind of person, those who are fooled into believing fighters from today are better than the likes of Greb. This because they benefit from better nutrition. They are so much more skilled than crude figures like Greb, Stanley Ketchum, and other old timers. And he would have made such fighters look foolish as well as crude. That's what, some people say today, but they never seen these fighters fight. So, that's a sign of ignorance. How can you sell what somebody is? You never seen them fight. How can you tell how good or bad they are, right? That's a sure sign of ignorance, right? Yet, Tunney, who was a scientific fighter of the highest order and whose skills would have seen him either dominate or at the very least live with today's best fighters, light heavyweights, said Greb was the fastest, greatest fighter he ever fought. Tunney said, Harry Greb was never in one spot for more than half a second. All my punches were aimed and timed properly, but they always wound up hitting empty air. He'd jump in and out, slamming me with a left, and then whirling me around with his right, or the other way around. Indeed, wouldn't it be fantastic to see today's best at 160, 175 in there with the absolute fighting machine that was Harry Greb? Greb, as fine a boxer as he was a puncher, Tunney said neither description ever really suited Greb. Greb was as fast as he was lethal. He was as clever as he was savage. And to cap it all off, Greb fought. We will never know for how long. A good deal of his career was blind in one eye. Blind in one eye. Really. There's no modern day fighter capable of matching Greb's combination of skill, zest, heart, desire, and longevity. Despite his insane activity levels, a pro for 13 years, and sheer toughness. Okay? And sheer toughness. Greb was stopped just twice in his career. Once early in his 8th pro fight, the other time in December 1915, when Greb completely fractured the radius of his left arm. This in his fight with Kid Graves. And he certainly deserved a decision in a number of fights that went against him. His final fight with Tiger Flowers, for instance. Sadly, tragically, even, no footage of Greb's pro fights exists. None, no footage. But the old timers know, so should we. Greb might have been the greatest fighter who ever lived. Harry Greb, middleweight champion from 1923 to 1926. American light heavyweight champion from 1922 to 1923. Harry Greb. Okay, Chalky Wright. Let's talk about Chalky. Okay, it's getting late. So let's talk about Chalky. We'll talk about a couple of old timers. We're gonna get out. Oh shoot! And I hit my own link. That's crazy. How you hit your own link? I did it. I'm taking it out. It's getting too late. Too late now. Okay, let's talk about Chalky Wright. There's Chalky on the screen there. Chalky Wright. I forgot what his real name was, but I'll tell you in a minute. Monday and Tuesday, we're going to finish up the promoters. Frank Warren and Queensbury Monday, Al Heyman and the PBC. I know, they said Al Heyman not a promoter, but he's included. Okay, here we go. Chalky is next. The great ring career and the sad, curious death of featherweight champion Chalky Wright. I think that's who Willie Pep beat when he got this. Yeah, I think he might have been Chalky. I'm not sure. But let's talk about Chalky. Known to the old timers as one of the hardest punchers of the featherweight division history, former world champion Albert Chalky Wright had an amazing ring career, and he sure lived a fascinating life. While his sad death at the age of just 45 makes for very curious reading. Chalky Wright's boxing career. Wright, who was ranked in 2003 by Ring Magazine as the number 95 greatest puncher of all time, was born in Willcox, Arizona on February 1st, 1912. He was one of 7 children. Wright's grandfather, Caleb Baines Martin, was a runaway slave from Mississippi who escaped his ghastly existence as a slave ahead of the Civil War, with Martin going on to establish a ranch in Arizona, thus becoming the first Black American ranch owner in Southwest Arizona. Okay, that was Wright's grandfather. Wright's father was born in Mexico, while his mother, who was deserted by her husband shortly after Wright was born, moved the family to California around 1918. It was there that Chalky discovered and fell in love with boxing. Tall for his weight, Wright began boxing at the age of 16, and he had his pro debut in February of 1928. At age 16. Wright boxed most of his early fights in Bernardino, California, San Bernardino, California, and it proved to be a bumpy ride, but not his career. By February 1931, after a mere 3 years as a pro fighter, Wright had an astonishing record of 35 wins, 12 losses, 9 draws. How the sport has changed ever so drastically over the years. Now, Wright, though, was full of heart. Yeah, because somebody thought now they wouldn't even be fighting nobody, possibly give him 12 losses. But yeah, back then, you weren't pampered and protected. You were thrown in there. And that only made you better. Didn't nobody care about no losses. You had champions with 15 losses back in them days, okay? But anyway, Wright, though, was full of heart despite his record, 35 wins, 12 losses. Wright was full of heart, spirit, and sheer enthusiasm. In 1938, by which time Wright had fought top names such as Baby Arizmendi twice and Freddie Miller, losing all 3 fights to Arizmendi and Miller, he was knocked out by the great Henry Armstrong. But Armstrong was impressed with Wright's ability, and he took him on as a sparring partner. Later, Armstrong's manager, Eddie Walker, signed Wright up, and his career began to blossom then. He had the right serious backing behind him then. Okay. Homicide Hank, Henry Armstrong, manager, took him on. I'm running out of breath. Okay. Soon enough, Wright, who would register 87 knockouts in total, was moving up the ranks. By the summer of 1941, Wright, now aged 29, had 127 wins, 29 losses, and 17 draws. And he picked up excellent wins over the likes of Sal Bartolo and Jackie Wilson. And then, finally, after having fought for over 13 years, Wright got his first crack at the world title, challenging Joey Archibald in September of that year. Wright scored an 11th round knockout win in Washington, D.C. Finally got a title. Okay? 11th round knockout. We're talking. Wright would actually lose his very next fight, just a non-title fight with Joey Peralta, who dissented him. In total, Wright would register just 2 title retentions, with him losing other non-title fights as well. Wright defeated Harry Jeffrey, 10th round knockout, and Lulu Constantino, 15 round decision, before he lost the title to the great Willie Pep. Yeah, Willie Pep. Pep won a unanimous decision over Wright in November of 1942 at Madison Square Garden, and the two would box 4 times in total, with Pep winning each time. Yep, Willie Pep beat him 4 times. Okay. Wright attempted to win back the crown against Pep in the September 1944 rematch, but he was again beaten on point. In the 4th and final fight in November 1946, Pep knocked Wright out in 3 rounds, showing how faded Wright had become. By this time, Wright, aged 35, and sporting a hard-earned 171 wins, 44 losses, with 18 knockout record, had been in plenty of tough fights. Among the other big names Wright faced during his later career were Jackie Wilson and Johnny Bratton. In March of 1948, after a stoppage loss against Ernie Hunick, Wright retired. He was now 36 years old, and he exited with 171 wins, 46 losses, 19 draws, and 87 knockouts. 87 knockouts for Chalky. Wright undertook plenty of different projects after he quit the ring. Chalky worked as a trainer for lightweight contender Tommy Campbell, while somewhat mysteriously and a big element of mystery is certainly there when it comes to the end of the former champion's life. Wright claimed he had written his autobiography, but under the pen name Jay Cardwell. To this day, the book has never surfaced. Now, the tragic death of Chalky Wright. Wright, who had unfortunately lost almost all of his ring earnings whilst gambling, also worked in a bar where he claimed each and every barman was a former fighter. And at the end, he worked in a bakery. Wright was married twice, and he had one son who passed away some time ago. The manner in which Wright died is both sad and mysterious. In the 1930s, Wright became friendly with star actress Mae West. West was actually a boxing fan, and she reportedly helped finance Wright's early ring career. It's said the two became more than friends, but this was never proven. In actuality, the subject became something of a scandal and may have led to Wright's death, even his murder. Years later, in 1955, when Wright had long since retired from boxing, a tabloid magazine called Confidential ran an expose story that stated how West and Wright had been lovers and that West had given Wright a good deal of money with which to gamble. The article described how West and a bronze boxer became romantic. West denied the claim, while she also sued for libel. West won, but later in 1957, the case went to court as the writers for Confidential were ordered to testify regarding the underhanded tactics they would use when it came to putting out stories. Before he was called to testify, Wright suddenly died at the age of just 45. Wright, who had been diagnosed with a heart condition, had been hospitalized that July, was found dead in his mother's bathtub. This on August 12th, just before he was due in court. Wright's head was under the water and the tap was still running. Immediately, there were suggestions of foul play, the motive being to silence Wright before his day in court. These claims were bolstered by the fact that Wright's first wife, who was also sent to testify in court, stated how she had received a threatening phone call during which an unknown person with a gruff voice told her to keep her mouth shut if you know what's good for you. So, was Wright murdered? Though we will never know for sure, there is some evidence that suggests the former fighter in ill health really slipped and hit his head, with there reportedly being proof by way of a dislodged towel rack that Wright had grabbed in order to try and stop himself from falling at the time of his unfortunate death. Officially, Wright's death is in the books as an accident. In any case, this was the most unfitting end to a great fighter's life. Wright, who was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 1997, was some fighter. He was some person. And for a man who lived just 45 years, Albert Chalky Wright sure had himself an eventful life. All right, there it is, Chalky Wright. And that's the end of the show. Appreciate everybody for coming through today. We'll be back Monday with finish up the promoters. Frank Warren Monday, Al Heyman Tuesday. Wednesday, go to you by Al Booker. Rap and pugilism. Rap and pugilism. Talk about some boxers rappers involved in boxing. Sparring, Jay-Z, Rock Nation manages some boxers. So yeah, we're gonna talk about rap and pugilism Wednesday. And then Thursday, we're gonna look at some of the best fights by decade, some of the best fighters by decade. And then we're going to profile a famous former boxer next Friday. To be named later. To be named later. But tomorrow, we got the big Barrios, Ryan Garcia matchup, and the other two title fights on the card. Barry Antoine Russell, Andy Hiriaka. And we got Richardson Hitchens, Oscar Duarte, Frank Martin. Here, all right, that might be the fight of the night right there. Mm-hmm. I don't know who I got. Ryan and Barrios is a toss-up for me. Pick them. I got Gary Antoine over Andy Hiriaka. Richardson Hitchens over Oscar Duarte, and Frank and the Hair Albright is another pick for me. I can't pick that one either. That might be the fight of the night, like I said. Yeah. Appreciate everybody for coming through today. And everybody have a great weekend. And I will holler at the family again on Monday. Okay, but first, prize fighter, Irony Boxing, Technique, Crush the Legend, the Drunk Irishman, Mike Rim, Mike Masick, Miss Cass. Appreciate everybody 1,000,000% for coming through today. Everybody have a great weekend. Enjoy the fights tomorrow. We'll talk about it Monday. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Box Story bringing you all that boxing history. Have a great weekend.